Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's a little bit of pressure because this is a program that I kind of created in my own head, and hopefully I'm capturing some of the information you'd like to see. And so if we go to the next slide, it will tell us all about what we're going to review today. I'm going to ask Ed, would you mind reviewing the agenda items for me, please?
Okay. First of all, we have introductions, and then we'll be using the classroom tools. We'll have an icebreaker following that, and then we'll look at a CAF organizational chart. We'll look at the defense team, regular force and reserve force. Then we'll enter into the elements. We're not talking about the weather. We'll look at CAF ranks, which I'm really looking forward to. Pay of compliments, military address, A is for acronyms, the life of the military member, and finally resources.
Thank you very much, Ed. I know it seems like a long agenda, but some of these items are fairly short and some are longer, but I think it's safe to say we'll have fun reviewing all of the topics that I've presented for you today. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Denise, and I work here at the Edmonton MFRC, and I developed this program. It was in response to a multitude of inquiries and comments I received over the years in regards to the military life and the demands of the military lifestyle. The original program itself is quite long, but I've condensed it to the military member lifestyle for today's presentation. On the private side, I'm also the proud wife of a retired military member, and my husband served over 20 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, and together our family experienced 4 postings, 3 overseas deployments, and numerous duties, courses, and other taskings. So lots of experience from both the professional and the personal side of the house. I want to also introduce you to our workshop producer today, Joanna Church. And Joanna, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. Well, welcome, everybody. I'm Joanna, and I am the virtual program developer for Canadian Military Family Services in U.S. OutCan and Yellowknife. I'm also the co-facilitator of the class that is the final presentation that Denise is giving today, which is live to virtual, where we take a live presentation and teach people how to turn them into virtual presentations. I am currently located in Victoria, British Columbia, so I think I'm the only person out here on the West Coast today, so I know we're grabbing you guys at the end of your day. We appreciate you coming to support Denise for her final project. At the end of this, she becomes a graduate of this continuing education course. And I do just want to say, on top of what Denise mentioned, Denise has a full Military 101 virtual presentation, and it's so extensive and wonderfully done. And we decided, for time's sake, for this final presentation, to just take the first half to share with you. So if you're interested in seeing the second half, please let Denise know, because we'd be happy to do down the road the second half of Military 101 and let Denise share with you all the continuing portion of what she has to offer. So thanks so much for coming out and supporting her today.
Thanks, Joanna. Thanks to everyone. Now that you know a little bit about Joanna and myself, we definitely want to hear from you. So I'm going to call on you one by one, and when I call on you, can you tell us your name, where you are, and what you hope to learn from this presentation? So Angela, if I could start with you, please.
Yeah, hi, sorry, Angela from Edmonton, and I'm here to enjoy Military 1. I actually took it in person the one time, and I'm excited to hopefully take this program, I'm going to call it On the Road.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hi, I'm Catherine. I am in Edmonton as well, working with Angela, Denise, Donna, Carrie, name them, Chantal, and I took Military 101 live in person with Denise, and it's a very interesting program, so I decided to come and support her today.
Thank you, Catherine. And next we have Chantal.
Hi, Chantal. I'm also from Edmonton, and I'm just really excited to take the program for the first time.
Excellent. And another one of my colleagues, I think I've stacked the deck, Donna.
Yes, hi. I am Donna. I'm in Edmonton, and I work with all of the above people who just spoke. And I'm from a long line of military folks, from my grandfather all the way up to my daughter. So that's why I am here to support Denise as well.
Thank you. And now I'm going to call on my favorite Islander, Ed.
Well, I just want to learn a lot more about Military 101, but it's certainly a pleasure to be invited here, Denise, and I look forward to this workshop.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hello, Erin. Would you tell us about yourself, where you are?
Hi, I'm in Petawawa, Ontario, and I'm looking forward to learning about Military 101, but also about virtual programming.
Excellent. This is a great way to find out. It's a wonderful program.
Mm-hmm.
And Frances is offline, or is she?
She just came back. Frances, you want to share where you're from?
So I'm in Petawawa, MFRC as well with Erin, and I've done some of the virtual programming in the past. And I love your topic, Denise, because it's something that I'm constantly doing, working with deployment and families, just to educate some of the basic military things. And I'm also trying to coach some of our team members here, like Erin, in terms of how to turn our programs to virtual.
Excellent. A lot of this came from my work with our deployed families, so I understand what you're saying. Hélène, hello.
Hello, I'm Elaine. I'm in Trenton, Ontario. I want to take it because I want to know what I missed after my husband retired after 42 years. So I wish I would have known all that stuff beforehand, and it's great because we have a lot of, Trenton is a big Air Force base, and there's a lot of training here, so there's a lot of spouses coming here also that know nothing, so I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. And thank you for joining us. And last but not least, I'm very excited to welcome Carrie. Would you tell us about yourself, Carrie?
Sure. My name is Carrie. As Denise is slipping into new position of Veteran Family Coordinator, I am taking over some big shoes to fill as the deployment coordinator, and she's been very supportive to me, so I'm here to offer support to her.
Aw, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. And like I said, I'm so excited that you're here, and it's nice to hear where everyone is from and the approach or their hopes that they're bringing to today's session. So as with any classroom, we have some ground rules just to foster a positive and workable learning environment. And I'd like to ask Erin, would you mind reading off the ground rules for us, please?
All right, ground rules. Turn off email and other distractions, to participate in the discussion, to fill in the survey form, and to bring your sense of adventure.
Excellent. Now, does anyone have any questions about the ground rules or anything you'd like to add on? We could put up our hand if you want to click on a hand, or if we're good to go, just say good to go for now.
Good to go.
Good to go? Yes. Love hearing those voices. So, this section we're going to learn a little bit about how to use the WebEx Classroom so we can use some of the tools that are incorporated into the program. And during this session, we're going to use a number of those tools. The first tool we're going to talk about is called the Pointer Tool, which is part of the group of the whiteboard tools. The whiteboard tools are located in the upper left corner of the WebEx Classroom. So with your cursor, click on the Pointer Tool and then claim a space anywhere on the whiteboard. So we should see all of your names once you've done that. So you click on the Pointer Tool and then click on a spot on the whiteboard where you'd like to put your tool.
If you're having trouble finding it, just go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know.
All right. We have Angela, Catherine.
Oh, I see what I'm doing.
So the picture here is just a picture. It's a pop-out of the toolbar that's actually located up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. So if you locate the toolbar that looks like this, and then click on the blue arrow once, and then come click your mouse anywhere down on the screen, and make sure you're in the white part of the screen. So Catherine, if you can come down into the, there you go.
And Donna, you've got it, excellent. Has everyone got it, Francis?
I'm looking here, Chantel, Donna, I think Francis might have stepped away again, yeah. I think we're good, Helene and Carrie. Perfect, got it.
Very good, okay. So that's the first tool. The next tool we're going to use is called the text tool. And that is located to the right of the pointer tool on your toolbar. And the purposes for this toolbar, we have a number of those things that we can use with it. But there are a couple of guidelines when you're using this text tool. So you'll click on your text tool, pick a spot on the whiteboard, but when you want to make sure we see what you've written, you have to click away. And if you have a yellow as your text color, it can be very difficult to see. So if this is your default color and you want to change it, there's a way to do so by clicking on the color drop-down box in the toolbar and click another color. And if we have boundaries, like say we're in a chart or a table of some kind, and you want to go down a line, you just click enter at the end of the line. So what we'll do now is click on your text tool, then pick a spot on that web page, and then type in the name of your favorite Christmas carol on any spot on the board.
So again, if you have yellow, notice that it's really hard to see. So if you can find the little colored box in your toolbar, click on the drop-down arrow and then select a different color, like red or green. That would be great, because if you can see down here, yellow is really hard to see. Look at all these. Snoopy.
Snoopy. We sang Snoopy as part of the MFRC staff choir. I think that's in our hearts every year, isn't it, Donna?
Yep, that'll be it.
All right, how are we making out? I think everyone seems to have found the text tool as well. Any questions? All right.
Perfect.
So another great resource that we have for the virtual classroom is the emoticon toolbar. And this is located below the participants panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and it's above the chat box. So we have Joanna showing us the right side of the screen, and then the emoticons are located midway between or below the participant's name and the chat box. Okay. So whenever you have a question, use the raise hand icon. So if we try that now, everyone click on the raise hand icon. Excellent, good job. And to remove it, you would just click on it again, that same icon. There you go. And during today's session, we'll also have opportunities to use the green check and the red X icons to answer yes or no questions. So let's practice that right now, and I have a question for you. Have you ever been on a cruise? Give me a check for yes or a red X for no. Just two of us, because I've been on one as well. Okay, very good. Maybe the next time we do this, we'll have more green checks rather than red X's, okay? Okay, thank you for that. Are there any questions about the whiteboard tools and the tools that we have? If there are no questions, give me a green check to proceed.
I just want to bring up one other little point. If at any point during today's session you need to step away from the class, to let us know that, if you can just find the smiley face emoticon, and to the right of that there's a little drop-down arrow, and that gives you a bunch of emoticon choices. And there's a little coffee mug that you can click on to let us know that you've stepped away. So could everybody find that coffee mug and put it up for me just so I know that you can see it and you found it? Perfect. And then you just click on it again to put it back down. And you can use any of those smiley faces during today's session just to let us know how you're feeling. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go on to the next slide and use our tools in in a fun way. We're going to do a little icebreaker that I've created for this program. So if we go to slide number 6, it's called Cuisine and Conversation. Now, personally, as a Maritimer, I know that good food and good conversation are the perfect pairing to an enjoyable evening. There's nothing better than a gut-busting meal, deliciously prepared and beautifully presented, all while delighting in a conversation with an interesting dinner companion. For this activity, I'm going to ask you to share your thoughts on your favorite restaurant and your ideal dinner companion. Let's begin by staking a claim on one of the lines of the table using your pointer. So using your pointer that has your name on it, claim one of the lines under the name column. Maybe and just scooch it over there a bit. You've got the hang of this. So Donna, you're going to click on that blue arrow up at the left-hand side of your screen, and then claim a line on the table. by clicking on that line. There you go. Excellent. Thank you. So now I want you to think of the name of your favorite restaurant. And you know which restaurant this is. It's your go-to place for your favorite appetizer, fabulous decor, or amazing service. Once you've decided on the restaurant, we're going to ask you to describe the name of that restaurant in the column marked Cuisine. This will be done using the text tool. So describe your answer. You click on the text tool, which is located to the right of the arrow bar on the toolbar, that capital T up there, and click on the appropriate cell in that column under Cuisine. Write the name of your restaurant and click away to ensure we can see your answer. Is that still open, Angela, the Dante Club? Or is that here?
It's in Timmins.
Oh, in Timmins, okay. Yeah. So remember, using your text tool in the column marked Cuisine, so the middle column. You'll click on the T, click to the line in the column that you have claimed, and then click away for us to see what you've written. Just a few more people here. Hard to think of a good restaurant? Breakwater, okay. Catherine, any restaurants that you like?
I've put it.
Oh, there it is. You have to click away for us to see it.
Oh, enter?
Excellent. Well done. Well done. Okay. So now we're going to the conversation part of the exercise. I want you to think about a historical figure, past or present, and remember, a historical figure, with whom you'd like to share a meal at the restaurant you have chosen. Have you always wondered where Da Vinci found his inspiration? Maybe Attila the Hun was simply misunderstood. What would Elvis think of today's music? My favorite question is, would Marie Antoinette ask for dessert? Think about a period of history that intrigues you and invite a famous person from that era to your table. Who would that person be? So again, using the text tool, scribe your answer in the column marked Conversation. Everybody's so quiet, they're focused on their answers. So Donna, use your text tool to write your answer into the conversation line. You'll click on that T, then click on that space, and then you'll click away once you've typed your answer.
Just gives a green check when you put your answer in.
Yeah.
That way we know you're done. It's a little bit easier to see that way.
Catherine, who's the famous person you'd like to see, to sit down with? I don't see it. There we go.
Do you see it?
I see it now. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. It takes practice. Angela, do you have a famous person you'd like to sit down with? No? I don't know. Excellent. Well, I want to kind of talk about this. I want to share with mine first because it's foremost in my mind. Like Catherine, Famoso is my favorite pizzeria. It's a Western pizzeria that serves Neapolitan style. And I really go there a lot because my son works there and I want to give him lots of tips so he can move out. And the person I would sit down to eat with is the Queen Mother who passed away in 2001, because that woman would have so much gossip and so much royalty stuff. It'd be awesome. All right, now I do want to hear from you all. Carrie, what's chives? What is that? You have to unmute yourself, Carrie.
I forgot how to do that. I figured it out. I was just trying to find the button. So Chives is a place in Halifax that I found exploring there. It's got a whole bunch of different types of food there, but the seafood is what I enjoyed the best.
Excellent. And Gene Roddenberry, I think I know why, but.
My husband and I are both very, very big science fiction fans, especially Star Trek, and I would have liked to have a chance to meet Gene Roddenberry and to just see how his vision came to be.
And she does actually wear like Star Trek and science fiction earrings, so definitely a dedicated fan. Chantal, any Mexican food, not Greek food?
No, I do love Greek. No, Mexican's 100% my favorite, and any Mexican place pretty much. And then, yeah, Walt Disney, because I just think it would be super interesting and creative and awesome.
Excellent. Ed, tell me where Breakwater 21 is.
That's in Surrey, Prince Edward Island.
Oh, Surrey, is it okay?
And it's just a lovely place to dine. It's got great ambiance. It's got a beautiful view of the Surrey Harbor, and the cuisine is unbelievably good. You know, like all the seafood dishes are just excellent. And I'm going there for my birthday coming up in a couple of weeks. So anyway, Karl Marx is the person who I'd love to sit down and talk to, just to kind of get his take on the politics of the day, the worker and the owner of the means of production and the slaves of the means of production. Just kind of interesting discussion.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you may not be for it, but it'd certainly be intriguing to think
exactly
why he thinks that way. Yeah, I understand. Donna, I've heard of Pampas. Tell us about Pampas or Pampas, however it's pronounced.
It's Pampas, and it's Brazilian food. They were actually featured on the Food Network, and they have a unique way of cooking all kinds of meats. And they have a 52-piece salad bar, which is to die for. And then they have these little cards, and there's a green side and a red side. So when you're ready to eat meat, turn it to the green side, and they bring you different kinds of steak and pork and bacon-wrapped chicken and sausage and lamb. And when you need to turn the card over to take a rest, you turn it to the red. And then when you're ready to have some more, you turn it over. So if you're into meat, it's the perfect place to go.
You've been trying to get us to go for a while.
Yes,
now,
I have.
Would you want to sit down with Dr. Dyer? Tell us about Wayne Dyer.
Dr. Wayne Dyer is a well-known author in self-help and healthy living and getting what you want out of your life. And so he helps you examine what it is you want to do with your life and with yourself that will make you happy. And he's written, I think like over 25 books on it. And so one of my favorites is when you believe it, you will see it. So manifesting your life is one of his big things he tries to teach you. And he helps you through all kinds of emotional traumas in your life, and so that you have a happier, healthy life to live. And I like passing the messages on to other people as well.
Very good, thank you. Elaine, Bannock. Is that a place or is that the food?
Bannock is the name of the restaurant that's in Toronto.
Okay.
And it's Canadian cuisine, but with a different flair. And I put their grilled cheese because the grilled cheese will be made with different cheese, back bacon, and it's very good. Normally, my husband and I, we go to the ballet, and it's just beside it, so we go and eat there, and then we go to the ballet. That's my little treat there. And Frank Sinatra is just that I happened to watch yesterday a show about him. He would have been 100 years old. I would be curious to know what was his story with the mob and how he came out with, who was his muse to do all those beautiful songs. So because his songs don't have any age. I think they're going to be like the Beatles. They're going to go ever and ever, forever.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Lovely. He was one of the best for sure.
Yeah.
Catherine, you like famoso like I like famoso, hey?
Yeah, well, I don't go often on our Friday lunch with the staff, but when it's the famoso, I'm always in. I love the pizza there, and I choose Samuel de Champlain because I really love old Quebec City, and I would love to hear more about what it was like when he was around. So, yeah, history.
I think it'd be very interesting.
It would, yeah.
Erin, Jack Astor's, is that a franchise burger place?
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite burger there?
They used to have a bacon and jam burger. That was my favorite.
Okay, bacon and jam. Mm.
Yeah.
I think I would try that. And why Shakespeare?
I just thought it would be neat to pick his brain.
Mm-hmm. To see if he actually wrote those plays, because they're saying he didn't now, right?
Yes.
I find out the truth. And Francis, I think a lot of us would go with you to La Crêperie. What is your favorite crepe?
So here in Pembroke, La Crêperie has been open for quite some time, and it's a very nice, small, neat restaurant. Sorry, my daughter's with me. And they have a French type every day. We have a nice salad that goes with it too. And my best one is the honey with goat cheese and walnuts, which I like.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, with a nice salad. There's also like some cheese and nuts in the salad as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeanne d'Arc, I picked her because I was looking at somebody that was Okay, so can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay. So Jeanne d'Arc, I was looking at somebody that was powerful, that was a woman, and especially during that time to learn a bit more about her battles and things that I could maybe put in practice today.
Yes. Lots of controversy and for and against her, so she's a very fascinating historical figure. Yes. And Angela, I asked you about the Dante Club. Where did you say it was?
So it's an Italian restaurant in Timmins, Ontario, and of course the chefs in the back. These are nonas with their aprons. There's no white hats, and they're rolling out the gnocchi and making the tomato sauce. They're probably pounding out the tomatoes. So this is where I like to go when I go home. And if I had to eat with someone, I don't think he's historical, but I think I would love to share a meal with John Candy.
Yeah, he had an interesting life, that's for sure. Yeah. And Joanna, tell us about Ruth's Chris. We have one here in Edmonton.
Oh my gosh, well, it's very expensive, so I don't get to go there very often. I've only been there twice. 3 times. I've been there 3 times. That they make the best steaks I've ever had, but it's pricey. But their steaks are amazing. Maybe it's because they're doused in butter. I don't know. Butter makes everything amazing. But it's really good. And if I could talk to anybody, I'd talk to my dad. I lost him about 15 years ago, and I would love to be able to have a conversation with him again because he was the wisest man I ever knew. So that's all.
It sounds like he impacted your history, so I think that's a wonderful choice for that column. Very good. Well, thank you for sharing, because food is a very personal matter for some of us, so thank you for being so open about that conversation. And now I'm excited to get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation. So to begin, I want to talk about the structure of the Canadian Armed Forces. I mean, after all, the concepts of military and organization charts do go hand in hand. At the very top of this chart, or org chart as they'll call it in the military, you'll find the Prime Minister of Canada and the Federal Cabinet. The Prime Minister is the head of National Defence. Supporting our Prime Minister is the Minister of National Defence, or MND. The MND is responsible for Canada's defence policy, as well as the administration of the Department of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces. So DND, Department of National Defence, and CAF are combined. At this juncture of the org chart, it splits into 2 tracks. On the left-hand side, we find the Deputy Minister of National Defence, and he oversees the civilian members of the defence team. And then on the right, going down from the Minister of National Defence, we have the Chief of Defence Staff. And the Chief of Defence Staff is responsible for the military members. Do you have any questions about this information? If you do, please raise your hand. If you have no questions, just give me a green check instead. Green checks. Any questions? Raise your hand. No questions. Green check. Okay. So the defense team is comprised of both the Canadian Armed Forces members, our regular reserve force members, and the civilian employees. Combined, they all contribute to the safety and security of Canada. But, of course, the question comes, who does what? So I want you to help us draw a line to the defense team groups to their respective roles. So if we take the right-hand side of the roles column, Who do you think would be responsible for corporate support? Policy analysts, HR, supply, finance officers, etc. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. And who was first? Angela was first, correct? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Angela, who do you think looks after that corporate support?
I'm guessing civilian.
Correct. So if we can maybe, Joanna, draw some kind of line. There we go. Excellent. Thank you. Who do you think would look after international security? Anybody? Raise your hand. Donna.
Regular forces.
They're regular and reserve forces, yes. They're under one category for this exercise. Very good. Okay, if you can put your hand down. Operational support, mechanics, shop, repairmen, engineers, etc. Who do you think looks after that? Raise your hand. Hélène?
Regular forces, reserve forces, and also civilian employees.
Right. That is correct. Under the chart that I received, it's only the civilian employees, but you are correct. I would draw a line to both segments because we do know we have them on both sides of the house. Absolutely. Okay, our next one is local or base support services, firefighters, cleaners, etc. Who wants to try that one? Ed?
I would say that'd be civilian employees as well as some regular force and reserve forces.
You are correct, because depending on what the element is. So, of course, we have military firefighters, but some bases may have civilian augmentees, etc. So I think it would be fair to include both segments or both categories for that question. So who's responsible for the Defense of Canada? Donna, did you want to answer that one? I saw your hand up.
I think regular forces and reserve forces.
Yes, that's correct. And our last category, the last role, Defense of North America. Who would be responsible for that? Donna, you were first, but Carrie hasn't answered yet. Do you mind if I ask?
Yeah, let her go. Yeah.
Carrie, who would that be?
That would be regular and reserve forces.
That is correct. So as you see, both segments or both categories have a variety of responsibility on the base and outside of Canada as well. All right, we'll move forward. So in addition to having the civilian employees as members of the defense team, we also have, as we saw earlier, regular and reserve force members. On this chart, we have an idea of the differences and similarities between the two groups. So the first thing we can remark upon is the numbers. Regular force, we have about 68,000 members, and the reserve force has about 27,000 members, about a third of what the regular force would be. For Reg Force members, deployment is not voluntary. So if you answer all the requirements of being deployed, physical requirements, training requirements, etc., you really don't have much of a choice to go overseas unless there are extenuating circumstances. With the reserve side of it, of course, deployment is more voluntary. Like the regular force members, our reserve forces enroll in the Navy, Army, the Air Force. The command structure applies to both divisions of regular and reserve force. And members of the regular force can be deployed on a mission overseas. Well, so can our reserve force as well. And in certain deployments, such as Afghanistan, we are very well represented by both the reserve and regular forces. So those are just a couple of points that I wanted to raise to you. Does anyone have any questions about the chart? If you have any questions, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand again. All right, if there are no questions, can I have a green check to let me know it's okay to go forward?
I just had a quick comment. I was really surprised to realize that reserve forces, that deployment was voluntary. I didn't know that, so that was something I learned new.
Yeah. Because it's a bit different in the States, isn't it, Joanna? Because you're a reserve member.
It depends. If you are in the reserve force of the United States, you can be called up at any time. If they need the manpower, definitely.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit different this way. Okay, let's move forward. I think everyone is good with that slide. This slide just tells us about the different elements to which our military members can belong. So they can belong in either the Army, the Air Force, or the Navy commands, and those elements. I like to joke, and this is actually a true story. I had a lady tell me that she was seeing a guy she met in California who was with the Canadian Marines, and I told her to run as fast as she can because There's no such thing as the Canadian Marines. I think he was trying to pull one up over there. So, and you'll see members of these elements at pretty much every base, because depending on the trade that's required at certain bases, you will see Navy personnel at an Army base. And sometimes you'll see Army personnel at a Navy base, etc. It just depends on what trade, what requirements each base has. All right, and we'll go on to the next one. One of the more popular questions that I've always received about the Canadian Armed Forces is about the rank structure. And the reason why we have the rank structure is to tell us about ability, capability, experience, knowledge, education, etc. In our CAF, Canadian Armed Forces, we have 19 ranks in the command structure, the rank structure. The higher you go, of course, the higher they are in the rank structure. In our Canadian Armed Forces rank structure, we have officers and non-commissioned members. And we go to the next slide, we have some more information about that. This table, shows us the ranks in all three of the different service elements. So as you can see, the rank designations are a bit different in the Royal Canadian Navy compared to the Canadian Army and the Royal Canadian Air Force. As well, the Royal Canadian Air Force has made some slight changes to the names of the ranks, including the uses of aviator for the private ranks. So if you're down way low on that chart to the right-hand side, you see private and private recruit. In the Air Force now, they're using the term aviator for those ranks. The rank structure is divided into two categories. We have non-commissioned members and officers. The non-commissioned members, or what we call NCMs, are recruits who, upon completion of their basic training, they undertake occupational or trades training. Officers, however, have a university degree, and they receive their commission from the Queen or the Monarch as officers in the Canadian Armed Forces. They're tasked with demonstrating advanced leadership skills and therefore leading military members under their command. Any questions on ranks? Because I always get questions on ranks. Raise your hand if you do. Okay. All right. Okay, so the next slide. This is a sampling that I found of all the different rank insignias. The rank is displayed depending on the dress or the uniform being worn. The rank insignia may be found on an epaulette displayed on the shoulder or on the front of the uniform. The epaulette is like a little piece of material that would either be placed on the shoulder or on the front of the uniform. For the more formal uniform dress, the rank will be displayed on either the upper sleeve for non-commissioned ranks and on the lower sleeve for the commissioned officers. And if any of you would like, I'd be pleased to send you a document that I've compiled that gives you a listing and photos of all the rank insignias for each of the three service elements. If you would like a copy of this document, please give me a green check. And Joanna, if you wouldn't mind just taking a note of those who've given us the check, please.
Sure. Well, it looks like pretty much everybody.
Yeah, you're all going to get it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Angela, you want one. You want it. All right. Okay, so let's move forward then. We've got that list compiled now. So with the rank structure comes the responsibility of acknowledging the rank, especially in the situations where salute or the paying of compliments is required. As I noted earlier, the rank structure is made up of officers and the NCMs, the non-commissioned members. In the Canadian Armed Forces, officers are required to salute all officers senior to themselves. So as you see on this table, starting from naval cadet on upward, each person would salute the person senior to them. So for instance, you'd never see the major under the Canadian Army or Royal Canadian Air Force salute a lieutenant. Or you'd never see the admiral salute the major or the lieutenant kind of thing. It's always above that person. Okay. Any questions on it? Do you have all the ranks in one listing? I'll see what I have for you, Francis. Yeah. The paying of compliments protocol differs somewhat for the non-commissioned members. The NCMs salute all officers, not higher-ranking NCMs. So the salutes for the officers begin at the junior officer level, and that's beginning with the acting sub-lieutenant, Royal Canadian Navy, and the second lieutenant, Canadian Army or Royal Canadian Air Force. And that extends all the way to admiral and general. So you can kind of say the salutes, in a sense, skip the lower ranks and begin to be accorded to officers at the acting sub-lieutenant or second lieutenant ranks. So as you see on the chart here, we kind of jump up to above naval cadet, officer cadet, And the salutes would be accorded to those people above those ranks. So we started the acting sub-lieutenant on up, started the acting second lieutenant on up. Okay. That's why you might see a military member salute one particular person in uniform, but not another person in uniform. Is that clear? Do we have any questions about how you salute or you pay a compliment? Raise your hand if you have a question.
I was going to say, this was something I actually just learned with Denise, and I have been a Navy spouse now for almost 7 years, and I never knew that my husband was not required as an NCM to salute the higher NCMs. So my husband, who's a master seaman, I thought he had to salute chiefs, but he doesn't because they're not officers. So that was actually something I just learned this month after 7 years as a military spouse. And I wish I would have taken this class, 7 years ago. So anyways, that was just sort of interesting to me because I just thought that you always saluted anybody if they were higher in rank. But yeah, so anyways, I just thought that was interesting.
And Francis, I wanted to acknowledge your chat notation. The document that I have that shows the graphics of the ranks would also show the listing of the new ranks as well. Would that be helpful to you?
Very much so, because
okay.
I'm a civilian coming into this world as a military. I've been here 12 years now, so now I'm a little bit more accustomed. But learning the whole ranks and the system was very hard to do. And now that I came back from maternity leave, they changed everything. So
yeah,
I was able to recognize who's who is very difficult. So I know this is very useful, and I'm glad that you're putting it all in condensed in one version because it's nice.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's move forward. We'll go on to the next slide. So just talking about the rank insignia, it's just one indicator of the military member's position within the CAF. We can obtain a great deal of information about the military member by their dress. So let's start at the beginning of this photo. We'll start by examining the beret. The color of the beret will indicate to which element the member belongs. So blue would be for the Royal Canadian Air Force, black would be for the Royal Canadian Navy, or green for the Canadian Army. There are some exceptions to this, and they include red for those members in the military police or search and rescue trades, etc. We see burgundy for the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. We'll also see light blue for the United Nations, etc. Next, we go to the cap badge, which is an indicator of the member's branch, unit, or regiment. So on some cap badges, you'll see the totem pole with the eagle, which is military police. You'll see the health staff, etc., or the two rectangles crossed, which is logistics. So that will tell us what their branch, unit, or regiment is. Now on to the uniform. So the uniform being worn by the military member in this picture is the typical work dress of the Canadian Armed Forces. Although the green cat-pat pattern is worn by members in all elements, it's the color of the t-shirt as well as the color of the rank displayed that will indicate to which element the member belongs. So once again, we see the elements represented as green for the Canadian Army, black for the Royal Canadian Navy, and blue for the Royal Canadian Air Force. So obviously this member is in the Air Force by two indicators, the blue beret and the blue t-shirt. Okay. The member's last name will also be displayed on the name tag worn on the right side of the front of the uniform. And the name is also stitched according to the color of the service element. So our service element will be displayed by the cap, the beret, the t-shirt, the stitching and the name tag, as well as the stitching of the rank on the epaulette. And on this member, she is wearing it on the front of her work dress uniform. Any questions on that? Or a green check if you're ready to continue.
I was just going to add here on the Navy base, the daily uniform of the Navy men is a blue top with black pants with their black t-shirt underneath. So on a Navy base, they don't wear the green, they wear the blue and the black.
Right. And we have other photos in the bigger Military 101 that showed a lot of the different dress depending on what the employment or the position of the day was, kind of thing. Just not enough time for all of this information, as we were saying. Hey, Joanna? Yeah. Francis, you had a question?
I just wanted to mention that the name badge on the uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So we work a lot with the Special Forces soldiers.
Right.
So we don't see a name badge at all.
Right.
Also, for some particular deployments, they are not to wear any name badges at all. So for example, for us here, Unifier, they're not wearing any name badges. So when we're going to the DAS and anything else, there is no names attached to them. So just some new things that have been coming up in the last few years that's good to know as well.
Right. So there will definitely be modifications depending on the requirements. Absolutely. Okay, so let's move forward. To date, so far we've discussed how to identify a CAF member's rank, unit, and element. Now we can ask ourselves the question, how do we address a military member? So this is an acknowledgement of how to communicate with a superior. So when we're addressing an officer, when a military member is addressing an officer, the subordinates would address their officers by saying their rank and surname. So we'll say Major Jones, and they could say either sir or ma'am. So that's when they're addressing a superior officer. Okay? And then the next slide will tell us how to address non-commissioned members. So the NCMs, the higher ranking NCMs, they're addressed differently according to their rank. So if we have on the Navy side a Chief Petty Officer, or on the Air Force Army side a Chief Warrant Officer, they would be addressed by their rank and surname. So let's say Chief Warrant Officer Jones. And then if they're being addressed by a commissioned officer, they may be addressed by Mr. or Mrs. Jones, and that's only by a senior officer. And then being addressed by a junior rank, they would be called sir or ma'am. We don't salute these upper NCMs, but they are addressed as sir or ma'am by the junior ranks. And similarly for the Chief Petty Officer second class, that's Navy, or the Master Warrant Officers, which is Air Force or Army, they would be addressed by either the rank or surname, so Chief Petty Officer Jones, or Master Warrant Officer Jones, or they may be called warrant, or again, sir or ma'am when addressed by junior ranks, not by officer ranks, but by junior ranks. This is a very quick snapshot on how you could address someone in the military like that. Are there any questions about that? So for us civilians, though, it is a little bit different. If you're not sure of the rank of that person that you're addressing, you can always just default to the sir or ma'am. There's never anything wrong with erring on the side of the caution and saying sir or ma'am. The military member will let you know how you can address that person. Okay, so me working on a military base, I always default to trying to address that person by their military rank. But if they answer me back by email and said, thanks very much, Kevin, that gives me permission to address that person by their first name. But if you're not sure, just go by sir or ma'am, and they're very gracious. They know it's not easy for us civilians to figure out the rank and everything. We don't go to basic training to learn all that. Any questions on that? Carrie.
I have a little more just of a fun comment. Just be sure not to address them by a lower rank or even a higher rank than they actually have, because then you need to buy them beer.
Yeah. So, see, using the sir or ma'am is a lot safer in that respect.
Yes.
Ed, did you have a comment or a question?
Yes, Denise, you mentioned something. I just didn't quite catch it. That once they respond to you in an email by what did you say?
If he says, if I'm talking with, say, Major Kevin Jones, and he writes to me and says, hey, Denise, thank you for that information. Have a great day, Kevin. That's, that's kind of like an understood that I could call him Kevin. I probably would once again address him by Major until it's repeated again, but that gives me that doorway to know that he's going to be very lenient about how I address him.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah. Other members on the panel, have you experienced similar interactions? Is that how you do it as well? You wait for their permission to call them by their first name? Yes? Green check for yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I still just always say sir or madam.
Yeah, yeah. I think we have the safe side. Okay, so we've had a bit of information kind of thrown at you. I want to play another game. Of course, you can't have the military without acronyms. So for this exercise, I'd like us to pick one line. I don't know if we have enough lines for everyone, so it's going to be like a, first to the finish kind of thing. Using your pointer tool, click a space under the name column on this table. And then maybe if we have two and one, we can help each other out. Okay. Catherine, if you could move yours over to the name column instead of under definition, there you go. So what we're going to do, using the text tool, see if you can guess what the definition for each of those acronyms is. So remember, your text tool is up in the left-hand corner of your screen by the pointer tool. You're going to click on the T, click on the line where you'd like to work, and then type in what you think that definition is. And you'll click away for us to see it.
Catherine, you can move yours up to either the second or the third line, APC or CAF, if you'd like.
Lots of, and then there's 2 columns, so yes, try those.
And then don't forget to click away once you've written, so we can see what you wrote. Got to click somewhere else on the screen.
It's not as difficult as you think. Your instincts are probably correct. Give me a green check when you've exhausted all your thoughts or you'd like to proceed.
I'm terrible at these. I don't know about you guys. I'm just terrible at them. I tell you, my husband didn't teach me anything these last 7 years.
Hey, has everyone kind of tried it? And give me a green check if you think you're good to go. No one wants to try the APC? Wow. Joanna, shall we put them out of their misery?
Yeah, go ahead. Here we go.
Okay, let's go on. So, excellent effort, everyone. Thank you for trying. So, 2IC, second in command. I think we had that correctly. PC is Armored Personnel Carrier. CAF, CFB, Company, of course, Department of National Defense. Furniture and Effects, was that one easy? Headquarters, I think we all got that one. And you were close, Medical Inspection Room, so you're very close on that one. And someone got this correctly, Personal Evaluation Report, PMQ, Private Married Quarter, Physical Training, and Standard Operating Procedures. Any surprises on that? Give me a happy face if there was a surprise for you. I'm going to shake things up a little bit. Or once you've seen the answer, it's like, oh yes, got it, kind of thing, hey? Naturally, there are many, 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 many more acronyms. I have a list about 3 pages long, but we could go on for a day and a half just on acronyms alone. So maybe research on your own time and see what you come up with as well. Okay, so I think we'll move forward on our agenda if everybody is good to go. If you want to give me a green check. Thank you very much. So we'll go to the next slide, because we're going to the next item on our agenda, which is the life of the military member. So this picture you see here is my husband's kit that he was putting together upon his retirement. That's the tidy version. Imagine what it looked like when it was kit explosion, as they call it. So the whole process for a person considering the military life begins with a visit to the recruiting center. Once a civilian applies, there will be a series of testings and assessments before they're accepted into the Canadian Armed Forces. The life of that civilian will change forever once the message to report to the Canadian Forces Leadership and Recruit School, which is located in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec, has been issued and a new recruit is born. Basic training for non-commissioned members, so those are the ones that are not officers, the basic training is 12 weeks. At the completion of their basic training, our non-commissioned members will be posted to a base to complete the first stage of their occupational training. Once they've satisfied the stages of the requirements of this stage of training, they will be posted and well on their way in their military career. Similarly, once officers have completed their 14 weeks of basic training, they will continue within their chosen occupational path, and then they work to develop and hone the skills that are required of an officer in the CAF. I get a lot of questions about the length of service, so my research has come up with this. When they are considering a life in the military, the length of service offers 3 options. So variable initial engagement, which is 3 to 9 years, the indefinite period of service, which is subsequent to satisfying the first category, and that is in effect until the member is released or reaches the age of 60. And then the third category is intermediate engagement, 25 years. And then that 25 years can be followed by an indefinite period of service until the member is released. So definitely lots of opportunities for someone to continue their career with the Canadian Armed Forces, lots of different ways they can do so. Once a member has completed their basic training and the first stage of the occupational training that they've had to do, then they're going to be posted. And at this point, we talk about the locations of service. And if we go on to the next slide, I'll show you where that could be. Lots of options. So in terms of postings, we have a map here which talks about or shows us all of the major bases in Canada. And on this map, I've identified the bases by the service element. But we do have exceptions of bases like Borden, which is a training base, or some bases that have multi-elements for whatever reason. My family has lived on 3 bases. We lived in Edmonton twice. We were in North Bay and Gagetown. Right now, using your pointer tool, I want you to indicate any one of the 1 bases that you've lived or visited. So just 1 base where you may have lived or you've had occasion to visit. Nobody in Moose Jaw or Shiloh or Winnipeg? No?
I've been in Winnipeg.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you chose Cold Lake, okay.
Well, like it's where we kept getting posted back to. So in 21 years with my dad, we moved 16 times. So which province didn't I live in?
So very interesting to see that. I mean, definitely all parts of Canada and then OCAN postings as well. We missed the Germany era, so we didn't get to go over there, but there's people, Europe, US, Australia. Has everyone been posted to a base, or is anyone here that is indicating a base they've just visited? If you raise your hand. So it's all postings. Interesting. Ed, you have a question? Or?
Well, no, that was, you said raise your hand, so it's not, yeah.
Have you visited a base? Or?
Well, I visited Gagetown. I've never actually been posted to a base, but I lived in Oromocto and visited Gagetown base numerous times. Yeah.
Very good. And Donna?
I had a chance this summer to visit the base in Victoria, BC.
Excellent. Very good. It'd be nice to get everybody's stories about the bases where they lived in or visited. All right, so let's move right along. I have lots more information to share, so I'm excited about this. So there are definitely benefits to being in the military, to being a military member. The first one we talk about is pay and their pension. So members are paid semi-monthly every month. The money is in the bank. Unless Canada goes bankrupt, the money will be in the bank. And as I described earlier, there's a pension plan for those members who want to make the CAF a long-term career, as long as they satisfy one of those 3 service categories. In terms of job security, they sign a contract. So they're on a contract for the military service. They know how long that's going to play out. For the education and training piece, to be a part of the CAF is to be ever ready. And training and education are integral to the readiness of the CAF. They're always training. We know that they're always away. That's one of our deployment coordinators' responsibilities. We support people who are away for long-term careers or courses, training, etc. In terms of health and dental care, I have a little story. When my husband retired from the military, he didn't really know how to make an appointment with the optometrist because it had always been done for him. Members are provided with complete health and dental care, and they have access to both services, which are delivered via military medical and dental clinics. So they're taken care of on the base wherever possible. Definitely vacation time is allowed as well. The new members are entitled to 20 days of vacation or leave, as I call it, upon joining. And that number of 20 days is increased to 25 days per year after 5 years of service. And they also have opportunities for allocated time off, block leave, and other leave is granted by the chain of command. They need their rest sometimes too. For the maternity and paternity benefits, the CAF members are entitled to access the same benefits that Canadians are able to access, and the CAF will actually top up the parental benefits to up to 93% of their regular pay. So not only are they allowed to take the time off, they do have some benefits in addition to that as well. For personal / leisure support, the CAF offers excellent resources to its members. Of course, there's fitness centers and programs, health promotion programs, mental health supports, recreation facilities, clubs, and activities, and these are just to name a few of the programs and services that are available on basis to the members. I also included postings on this slide because the purpose of postings is to allow the CAF to staff its bases and wings with qualified personnel, and this is as appropriate to operational requirements. Postings are also a great way for members to experience the opportunity to practice their chosen occupation in a variety of settings, circumstances, tempos, and that provides a gamut of experiences and challenges. So postings to different bases, and as Joanna has noted, all over the world as well. So this way they get to widen their experience as they practice their craft. So they're not going to be limited to just one certain work environment. They'll be able to expand on their skills and add to that tool belt depending on the bases where they're serving and how they need to use those skills and abilities. Are there any questions on that? Raise your hand if you have a question. Lots of great benefits. Travel, etc. So this is the section where we close off the presentation, because beyond this, we're getting into the life of the military family, and that's going to be a whole other presentation because of how much information we can share with you on that particular topic. I really love your feedback on the topics that we discussed today, and if you have any comments at this point, please raise your hand. I'd love to chat with you about what we've talked about so far. In addition to that, we do have a short survey we're asking to complete, and you'll see that Joanna has posted the link to the survey in the chat box. So you can please click on the link, which opens the survey in a separate browser.
Yeah, so I'd just like to take this chance to say, if you could just click that link, for those of you who've taken the class, you know that your feedback is so important for her final presentation. So we just encourage you to take a minute and be thoughtful and just really share with Denise how you felt she did today, what you thought about her presentation. Did you feel engaged? And just let her know how she did, and we appreciate your feedback because this really is sort of her final grade, I guess you could say. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. And we'll just wait here for you to come back to us. It should just take a couple minutes. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go right now.
So Donna, do you see down in the chat box, I put a link. It says https://www.surveymonkey.com.
Yep.
Can you just click on that link, and it should open up a separate internet browser window for you.
Okay, I'm there.
Got it? Thank you. Yeah, no problem. You know, Denise, just as you were talking, I'm always reminded how often we hear spouses say that their military member doesn't share with them information, and so that's the importance of programs like this one. When you're a spouse wanting to understand and know how the military works, programs like this are really great for getting that information when maybe your CAF member isn't the best at sharing, such as mine.
And also, I think, too, things that we think, oh, that's just too basic, people wouldn't be interested in. Yeah, they're interested in that.
That's right.
Entry-level information is appreciated.
It is. Well, I think as a military spouse, you don't want to feel uneducated when you're meeting other higher ranks, and you really want to feel like you are able to hold your own. And so I think that's why it's important, definitely. So just remember to give us a smiley face or a green check, something to let us know that you're back. And if you have trouble coming back, just speak up and let us know. We'll help you find your way back.
Because I'm not in that screen to shut it off. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
I can make sure you're taken care of. That's all, Donna.
Thanks.
I try to be nurturing like you.
Yeah.
Okay. So just while we're waiting, let's go ahead and just talk about comments or questions that maybe you had. Raise your hand if you want to share with us just something that you learned today, or why you think this kind of program is important to be presented virtually. Anybody want to share? Erin.
Hi there. I just wanted to say, like, I'm a military spouse, and every time my husband would come home and try to explain something, I would always hear him give me these acronyms, and I'd have to get him to explain it to me. And then the next time that he would try and have another military-related conversation, I'd ask him the same things again, because there's way too many acronyms to remember, and then all the different types of lingo on top of that. So to see it in one spot, I'm more of a visual learner, so it kind of makes me have my aha moment.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's so true. I feel the same way. I'm all the time like, what does that mean? What does that mean? so I'm glad I'm not the only one that makes me feel good. Let's see. And Helen, how about you? Don't forget to unmute yourself. There you go.
Sorry. I was just surprised, like even after all those years, that NCMs didn't have to salute between themselves. That was completely new for me after 42 years.
Huh.
Right, because you would never see even like a colonel saluting another colonel.
No.
And so, yeah, when I learned about the NCMs and how that works, I had to ask my husband a couple times, okay, is this correct? He goes, yes, it's correct.
Yeah, I would have thought a junior NCM will have to salute a senior NCM.
Yeah. But that's where you call them the sir. I think that's the added respect being shown to the upper NCMs, because they don't have the commission, but yet you hear the word officer in their title. So because although you don't salute them as from the junior rank level, but at least they get that sir or ma'am designation, because they really are the transition piece between the lower NCMs and the officers.
Yeah.
So the junior NCMs know to go to the senior NCMs, and the officers know to go to the senior NCMs as well, because they're the implementation specialists, right? They're ones to get all the officers' desires completed. So for them to get that, to be accorded that respect in terms of being called sir or ma'am, but not having the salute. So it's quite an interesting research project, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Francis, I think you were last.
Definitely love the program. I think it's good for anybody that's working in the MFRC to learn the whole city enforcement system for sure. And I know that we've developed in the past a Parents of Soldiers handbook, where pretty much we're taking what Military 1-on-1 is and giving them the overview as well. But I like how yours was in depth, in terms of a bit more on the like just what do you salute, not salute, type of things, and just a little bit more tidbit information that we did. So I like that's interactive too, and you can ask questions versus me giving a book. So I really like that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for attending today. Again, for supporting Denise. We appreciate your feedback. Thank you for taking the time to fill out the surveys. You are free to leave the class at this time. And to do that, you just